So we have the 3 trees here. Craft is pretty much all non-combat stuff. There are a few things in here that work in combat that are not necessarily boosting your power, like extra food and drink duration. Let's see. There's one to... Yeah, here it is. Less chance to consume a potion or poison. So, you know, stuff like that that does affect combat, but it just kind of like money saver stuff. Then the blue tree is the main like offensive and defensive power, especially for DPS. This is the warfare tree. So all the combat stuff, and it's very, very, very loaded. So there's going to be some choices you'll have to make here. And then the red tree is fitness, and it's kind of like hardiness, like being able to withstand a fight. So the blue has defense stuff, but it's more like mitigation defenses. This is more like hardiness. So you have health bonuses, you have armor bonuses, recovery. There's one called siphoning spells where you get Magicka back for kills, stuff like that. Stuff that like kind of keeps you going in battle. It's kind of how I look at this tree. But this is the blue one's the one we'll kind of focus on today because this is the bulk of where we'll spend our points. So, or where we'll have to really think about where we'll spend our points, I should say. Because the red and the green will be pretty easy to fill out. So there's not a lot of choices there for a DPS, but the blue is a different story. Hey, ready? So yeah, we'll go through all that Airbus and see kind of like where we start topping off at. So initially, there's kind of 2 routes you can go starting off. You can just go all damage to start off and ignore all of your resists for later. I think the best route to go, so I think the strongest passive in all of this blue tree, just like efficiency wise, is this one right here. Well, they changed this actually. I'm gonna have to relook at it because this was 3% per stage. Now it says 2% per stage. So this preparation passive right here is 10% damage reduction, which is pretty big. Let's see. So that's like having like 6,600 extra armor. I'm gonna have to rethink this a little bit now though, because last week this said 3% per stage and it said so should have been 15%. I guess the top part was the part that was bugged in the tooltip and not the bottom part. So it's a little bit less than I thought we were getting. But it's still a really strong passive to get early, especially for a newer player, just having that big damage reduction. But yeah, I'd still probably recommend getting this first, but it's less clear now. Now that they changed that. Well, Gadget, they said they fixed some like tooltips and stuff. So this one was bugged. It said the top part there said 3% per stage, but then the final bonus at the bottom was 10%. So I guess it was the top part that was bugged. But anyways, we'll still go after this one first, just to kind of show an example. So, all right, let's say we just hit level 50. So we're just just starting to earn our CP. We can put 10 points here in Eldritch Insight. And you see when we get to 10 here, it unlocks these other branches as well. So that's why instead of, you can't just go straight into here, into this tree. You have to put some points into one of these starter ones first. So with 10 points here, this would be, we're at 30 CP. And so then we can't go straight to preparation just yet. We have to do some into this tree, into the healing taken one. So just as a reminder, every 1 point spent in here is going to require 3 points total earned, since you earn one of each color. So 10 points in here we can do at 30 CP. 10 points in here we can do at 60 CP. And then we can come down and max this one out. So at 210 CP we can have our biggest chunk of damage reduction. If you wanted to grab that one first. These other damage reductions are not nearly as big. So this one here is just 5% reduction to magical attacks. And this one's 5% to physical attacks. So these two aren't nearly as important to grab, and probably recommend saving those towards the end of your leveling process. But this 10% one is a lot bigger. Hey, what's up, Skills? So sitting at 210 CP, if we wanted to grab this defensive passive first, then we could really start in on all of our offense. Another route you could go is just to ignore the defense to start off and just go straight into your offensive stuff, which we'll want to start then with precision. So 50 points in there gives us 800 crit chance, which is like 3.6% crit chance roughly. But it also opens up all of our next pathways. So let's start here at 150 CP. You'll be able to max this one out. So then at 300 CP, you could max our penetration out as well. Get 1750 penetration. For in-game, like, optimized raids, you probably won't end up needing the full 50 there. But if you're sitting at 300 CP, probably not in that kind of scenario. And penetration is going to be one of the strongest buffs you can get. So you could either do that, or you could go ahead and go here for your next one to fill out, Fighting Finesse. Either way, I think these will probably be the next two you do after getting your crit chance. So this one gives 10% crit damage and crit healing. So, and then, oops, let me get back in here. And then we'll go to piercing and fill that one out. So go ahead and slot that. So pretty much we're now at 450 CP. We have our crit chance, we have our crit damage, and we have our penetration going. And this is at 450 CP. So then for the next 150 CP, we can fill out Deadly Aim and get our single target damage. And then Thaumaturge, get our damage over time. And then Biting Aura, AoE damage. And then that gives us our four slottables. So this is now 900 CP. At 900 CP, you have your crit chance, your penetration, all 4 of your possible slottables. And since you can always respec these, so let's say you're getting in a fight where you're flanking, you could drop, let's see, this AoE damage. So we could get rid of that, respec that, and put it in here instead, and then slot that one. So once you're at 900, you have enough CP to have all 4 of these going, and these really good offensive passives that you just always have as well. So this is where, like, 900 CP, you're kind of getting close to the bulk of your power at this point. The pin from Crow will be 0. Yeah, so I mentioned this a little a second ago. Like, very optimized groups will probably not have this 50 points here. I'm more of looking at from like a leveling up perspective. So, you know, early in the game, you're doing pug dungeons, you're doing pug trials, stuff like that. Less optimized groups, like, most of the time the penetration's not going to be consistently there, and you're going to want some bonus there. And 1750 pin is a pretty nice damage boost. So I'm kind of looking at it from that perspective. You could always go back later and lower this. You will need at least 10 points in this, though. Hey, Thiefy, what's up? Thank you for the sub. Thanks for the 5 months. Hi. Thanks for the subscribe. Oh, yeah. Really appreciate that. Hi. But yeah, you can always go down to just 10 points in this piercing tree, and that still leaves these appear unlocked. So, but you do need at least 10 spent. So that's kind of the minimum. But we'll just leave it at 50 for now. I think for probably like 80% of the player base, that's gonna be the strongest way to go. And then you can kind of lower it as you see fit based on your own group. But yeah, so we're sitting at 900 CP now. We have all 4 of our slottables. We have crit chance. We have our penetration. And so at this point, I'd probably go over here and fill out our Magicka bonus. Let me just look at my sheet and make sure that's what I was doing. Yeah, so this one right here gives us 1300 extra max Magicka. And it is not a slottable one, so you just always will have this active. Just pretty nice. It's not a huge damage increase, but it is an increase. So, hey, thanks RTG, appreciate that, and thanks for the new follows, guys. Sinbin, Eduardo, 9-piece. Appreciate it. Sorry if I missed anyone. Let's see. Okay, so then from here, we've got our Magicka bonus. So this is sitting at 1050 CP. So really the only like pure damage one left to grab. And I'm doing this kind of from a Magicka perspective. If you're stamina, you can go the opposite route and take your stamina passive and then head down the right side of this tree instead of the left side. But we'll go down the left side since we're on a Magicka character right now. So you can do 20 points in here minimum to unlock the War Mage passive, which is 100 weapon and spell damage to your magical attacks. And this is kind of the last like straight damage thing in our build. So after putting 20 in here and then 30 in here, we are at 1200 CP. And so sitting here at 1200 CP, the only thing we're really missing as far as damage is extra chance to apply magical status effect. And that will be a damage boost once that's filled out. And then also all of our defensive stuff. So really like 900 CP, you're pretty much there as far as damage. So 900 CP, you don't have your Magicka yet, and you don't have your 100 spell damage yet. So 1050 CP, we can grab our Magicka, and then 1200 CP, we'll be able to get all of our spell damage. So 1200 is kind of that point when we're pretty good on damage. I mean, there's a tiny boost from the status effects, but pretty much there at 1200. And so I would probably, in most builds, so this setup ignored getting this preparation passive. So if you are just going damage, this is probably where I'd break off and go and start filling out the preparation. So yeah, some people are really liking the extra longevity. They're like, oh cool, like this is like, you know, new things to put my points towards, and more power that I can just kind of continually increase as I go on. And other people have the perspective of, well, I was already maxed out on power. I don't want to have to grind CP to be maxed out on power again. I get both sides of that argument. A lot of it that you have to look at too is like, how much power are you missing? Like in this setup at 1200 CP, you're missing some defenses and some chance to apply status effects. So, you know, if getting to 2000 CP and really just filling out every side stat is super important to you because you want to really min-max and get every bit of that power right away, I can see how it could be frustrating, because that's a lot of CP and that's going to take a lot of grinding it. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think you need all of that to really compete at a really high level. But anyway, so we're at 1200 CP now here. We come down in here and you need to put at least 10 points here to unlock these others. So once we put 10 there, we can put 50 into preparation, which gives us the 10% damage reduction. And so that puts us at like, let's see, 1350, about 1380 CP. So at 1380, you have the bulk of your defenses and the pretty much all of your offensive too. So this is about all I have to spend. I have 1407 CP on live, and this is about where I'll end up on live, which I'm pretty cool with. Like I kind of like that now the CP I earn, I'll be able to put points into increasing my magical status effect chance. I'll be able to put points into my elemental and physical resist. So, but they are small bonuses at this point, and it's not going to make or break any kind of setup. So then, yeah, probably from here out, I would really focus on the Flawless Ritual passive. It does go up to 150%. So at 150%, that's a pretty big boost to apply status effects. You combine that with the 100% you get from like a Destro Staff passive. There's other passives that are similar in the game too. You can get some really high chances to proc these status effects, which can be really nice. And so that will be maxed. That won't be maxed out for a while. Probably like I'll need another 200 or so CP. I think about like 1600 CP-ish or so. 1650. Somewhere in there, I'll be maxed out on that as well. And then I'd probably come in here, fill out my magical defense. Physical defense, I'll probably leave last. It's most trials you do, most content in general you do is not nearly as physical damage heavy as magical damage. So, I mean, there's a lot of trials I put 0 points in Hardy now already because you don't need it. Thank you for the follow, Demon Knight. So, you know, that's 5% extra damage reduction there is not really big. So that's probably one of the ones I'll leave for last. So after the magic reduction, I'd probably come and fill out my stamina on a Magicka build and top that out to get that little side resource for a little more wiggle room with my stamina bar. Or if I was a stamina DPS, I'd come and fill out the rest of my Magicka passive, whatever your off resource is. And then yeah, we're probably closing in on like the 2000 CP mark at that point. And go ahead and fill in your like either your defenses, or you can come down this tree here. This is the healing side. So you could start filling in some of your healing, like 10 points into here is 1% healing done. And then single target heals, you can get that up to 10% extra healing done to your single target heals, which with like Pale Order or something like that is probably a pretty nice little boost. So you could always slot this a little earlier down the line if you wanted to. Maybe skip out on your elemental resists, or even some of your chance to apply a magical status effect. If that extra, like maybe you're running some solo arenas or something, and that extra healing done, you wanted to take that a little earlier. But yeah, all in all, like if you wanted to get all the healing, all the defense, all the damage, all of the extra chance to apply the status effect, all of your off resource too, like all the little side things too, we're looking at 2370 CP. Roughly. If you really want to get like all of these side ones, like AoE heals too and stuff like that, it's going to be a little higher. But and a lot of that stuff is not going to end up being necessary to grab. And then I don't see these being slotted really ever. Yeah, a lot of these are just not going to be slotted just because they're not strong enough compared to the straight % damage bonuses. Like this one reduces your damage taken by AoEs, damage taken by dots, damage taken by single target stuff, and then a lot of just like little perks like a damage shield when you're blocking. Like I don't see these being strong enough to want to slot as a DPS over any of these. And so that's one of my current complaints with the system, is that this tree in particular is just so overloaded with slottable perks that there's just no chance that these are getting slotted in combat. I mean, if they were something really impressive, something that really stood out and like, whoa, that's a really powerful perk, you know, it would be one thing. And they're not bad. I'm not saying they're bad. Like 5k damage shield when you're blocking, that's like the Sigic shield. So it's, you know, it's not a bad thing to have. I'm not saying that, but am I going to take that, or am I going to take like 10% more crit damage? Like as a DPS, like the choice is pretty easy, you know? So I would like to see either this stuff get really bumped up to something more enticing, or some of this stuff spread out to the other trees. Because as it is right now, like I'm going to have a hard time even like finding 4 things I want to slot for trials in the green tree. Like there's some good ones. There's a movement speed one that's really nice. 50% movement speed out of combat. So you don't need speed gear at all in trials. Between every ad wave, you're just zooming, you know, like you're good to go. So stuff like that will definitely be slotted. But there's just really not a lot when you're actually going through a trial that you're going to care to have there. Hey, what's up, Shorebus? Hey, thanks for the follows, Tag and IRS and Coco Medico. Appreciate it. And then, yeah, the red tree is pretty straightforward too. we're probably, I'd say on most setups, you're just gonna grab the max health, slot that, grab the armor, slot that, grab the recovery, and then there's some more max health over here. You'll probably go down that tree, get to that, grab that passively, and then there's siphoning. So depending on if you're Magicka or stamina, there's two different ones here, but pretty much 1500 resource on kill. Slot that, and there aren't really a lot of other ones that really stand out for DPS. It may be, this is just cost of your damage shield. Oh, they changed this passive. This used to be... Okay, so this is 15% extra damage shields and damage against shielded enemies. Okay, that was another bugged tooltip. It had 40% or something like that as the total before. So that's not nearly as crazy strong as it seemed like it was going to be. But anyways, there's not a whole lot here. Excuse me. Yeah, there is the res passive, which is really nice. Where's that at? Somewhere. I need help, chat. Below right of recovery. Oh, this one? This recovery? Oh, here it is. Okay. I was thinking it was a slottable one. It's a free passive. So, yeah, this is another really good one. Decreases the time it takes to resurrect an ally by 33%. Thanks for all the follows today, guys. Threm and Timirov. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's another really good one. Definitely will be one that you'll want to fill out. So let's see. To get there, we just need to put like 10 in that. 50 in that, and then we're good to go there. This one's probably pretty good too. It costs a ton of points. Return to life after resurrection with 10% more resources per stage. So up to 50% more resources when you revive. Could be nice when you're progging stuff and people are dying a lot still. Because, you know, you come back to life after being dead and you're always tapped. And you got to do some heavies and get back in it. But, yeah, they did some tests. Nephis did some tests with it. And I think it was like right about like 1.6 seconds, somewhere in there, that they got it down to. With Kagranax, the Cyrodiil passive, using a Templar, and then also with this passive in. It was under 2 seconds for a res. It was kind of insane. But even not being in Cyrodiil, you'll be able to get some really fast reses with this. So this will be a sweet one to take. I don't know. It might be a little overtuned. It does take a while to get there though, because you're gonna have to put points in all these leading up to it. And so if you did want to grab this early, you'd have to really give up some stuff like max health, recovery, siphoning. If you wanted this early, you're gonna have to give up some really nice selfish bonuses. So I don't think it's too bad being that strong, because it is going to be kind of a nice late game reward. But am I excited for Magicka mag recovery going from 800 to 2K? I hope. I haven't seen any tests with it yet, but I assume you're referring to the extra status effect chances and their combustion passive working together. Yeah, I hope that helps out their sustain. I'll probably dig into some Magicka next week once the resistances are fixed, but yeah, and I mean that's pretty much it. So like I was saying, my big gripe at the moment is just how overstacked the blue is. I think it's just so overstacked. Like the red, come over to the red as a DPS and it's pretty straightforward what you want. Like you just take certain ones, go to those. There's not really a lot of reason to go to a lot of these other paths. A lot of them are PvP buffs, like CC immunity type stuff. Not really needed in PvE, which is fine to have those. I don't think it's bad to have those. I just think there's a ton of these, and this is just so overloaded. And then this, there's just not a whole lot for combat here. I would like to maybe see some more combat stuff here. Maybe it doesn't have a direct effect on like actual damage numbers or resistances, but maybe some other kind of like combat impact. Like maybe something in here could mess with your alchemy potions to affect combat that way. And I don't mean like from a monetary stance. Like they have ones that make you save money by possibly not consuming them. I mean more like affecting combat directly kind of buffs to like feel like something in here is doing something when you're actually in combat. I'm okay with this being mostly craft stuff though, and I don't think it's necessarily bad that there's like a crafter tree to really work at. I think Warmount being the pinnacle is a little strange. It costs so much CP to actually make your way up here, and then 120 CP for that perk when it just removes stamina costs outside of combat. Maybe useful for someone that hasn't put any like points into stam on their horse, but if you have 60 points in stam on your horse, like you can run for so long. It's really, it's not that big. I don't see why this is like the pinnacle one. Seems a little out of place there. I really like the double resources. It's going to take people a lot of CP to get up and work their way up to this point to get this. So it's a nice reward for longtime players to get extra resources out of their nodes. Hopefully that means we'll have some price decreases on some of the tempers as well, since they're going to be more abundant. And so it just helps long-term players make a little more money because they're getting more loot, and maybe bring down the price for newer players as well because there'll be more in circulation. The price will come down a bit. So hopefully this just has an overall good effect on the economy. I think it's a pretty cool one though. Let's see. Yeah, that about sums it up, I think. Another idea I saw, I've seen some people say like, well, just let us use all 12 for any slots we want. I don't think that would really work out. That would be essentially you'd be wanting to slot 12 blues, which is just going to crank the CP needed up way higher. Because you'd be slotting all of these to the... So I don't think that would be really viable. I also saw someone said like have maybe like one from each tree is a flex. So you could end up with a blue here and a blue here. So you could have 6 blue and 3 green and 3 red. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. So you have your green, your blue, and your red, but then each one has a flex as well. And that would kind of let you diversify things up a little bit. And, you know, outside of combat, if you're farming or whatever, you could slot a few more of the green ones. Or maybe in PvP, you would have a couple extra reds you could slot, possibly. And just kind of add to the diversity a little bit if they had a couple of flex spots. But, yeah, I think that about sums it up, though. I'll put this on YouTube to help people that are trying to kind of wrap their heads around the new CP system and see exactly what they need to be at. And, yeah, so I'll go ahead and end the video there. Adios, YouTube.